All right, so continuing on where we left off, now we're going to narrow down and select an actual topic that we're going to get our books created on. Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to take a look at a few different things. So the middle ground, how much demand does there need to be versus competition? And we're going to take a look at determining, so how much competition is too much competition where you wouldn't want to publish in a particular topic. And we're going to look at the 4 tests to find winning book ideas, as well as we're going to dive in and we're going to do some live keyword research. So you can see exactly how I come up with an actual topic for a book. So let's dive into this. So first, determining the demand. Now there's 2 factors we're going to take a look at: demand and competition. Now, the higher the demand means there's lots of people buying these books. So this would be in the case like dog training books, keto books, stock market books, tons and tons of demand. But then there's also, with large demand, there's going to tend to be higher competition. And with higher competition, it's just going to be tougher to break through. Whereas there's low competition, there's not going to be a lot of sellers. It gives you an opportunity to get in there and take over that market. So this is all about finding the middle ground between high demand and low competition, finding the balance between the both. And that really is the trickiest part. But I'm going to show you by using the spreadsheet that I have here and running these different tests on these topics that we're going to take a look at, how you can make this a lot easier. And keep in mind that the most popular or in-demand topics don't necessarily mean they're the best ones to publish on. Just because keto diet books are extremely high demand right now, right? And they're selling super well. It does not mean they're the best books to be publishing on, right? You only need 1% of the market. And you've heard me say that before. You only need to capture 1% of the market to turn into a 6-figure a year business. So do you want to put a disclaimer out there? This is not definite science. Keyword research is always changing. And these are merely the guidelines that have helped countless students build successful businesses. The execution that you're going to have once the book is created, it really is the most important part, right? I've seen students have massive success with one keyword, where another student, it's a massive flop because it comes down to their execution was no good. So your execution of how you implement everything you're going to be learning in this course, that is going to make the biggest difference for you. So the tests we're going to run 2 tests on demand, and then we're going to run 2 tests for competition. The demand tests are the average BSR and the under 50,000 BSR test. And then the competition one is influencer authority figures. Who are they? And number of reviews. Okay. So the first test, average BSR less than 200,000. So remember, BSR stands for the best-selling rank. We went over that in the previous lesson. So we want to ensure that the average BSR for the first page on Amazon has a best-selling rank of under 200,000 or 200,000 or less. This ensures that every book on the first page of Amazon is selling at least 1 copy a day. So we're going to use a tool called Kindle Spy, and you're also going to be on Amazon in the incognito mode, once again, on your Google Chrome browser. Okay, first, KD Spy. So there's a link at the bottom of the, or in the description of the lesson. You can click that to get Kindle Spy, or just go to kdspy.com and just go ahead, hit purchase. So it's $59. And it's a one-time fee, no monthly fees. And this is the tool that we use to basically take a snapshot of the first page of Amazon of all the possible keywords or topics we want to be searching. And it's a Google plugin, so it's going to go right up here. So when you download it, you can click it. It's also going to bring you to the Amazon bestsellers list. So nice little shortcut right there. Now, you need to make sure it's running in your incognito browser. So you're going to go to your manage extensions once you've turned it on. Okay. And you're going to find KD Spy. And you're going to go down here to allow an incognito, and you're just going to turn that on. So make sure that is on so you can use it while you're browsing incognito. And that is that. All right, so how we're going to use this tool. Let's go back to the lesson. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we want to take a look at the average BSR. So if we have, for example, let's go to Amazon and let's type in, or we'll use one of our keywords here, gardening. In the Kindle store, incognito, so gardening. Now I'm going to hit Kindle Spy up here. And so what it's doing, it's pulling all of the data from the first 16 to 20 books, the first page on Amazon. Just let it sort it all out. Okay, so now we have all of the information that we want here. So the first thing that we do is, so we have an average sales rank of 64,000. Remember, we want average BSR of under 200,000. So this is definitely a very profitable niche. Okay. Now the first thing we're going to do is we want to remove any outliers. So an outlier in this case would be a book, like let's say, I have an example on the lesson here. You can see the average sales rank for this was 381, right? And going through, there's one book here, or there's two books right here that are actually well over 1 million BSR. And so you check the little X on KDP Spy, and it'll remove those two books there from the number, so it won't count it. So it actually drops down the BSR from 381 down to 252. So that's what we're going to take a look at here. Are there any outliers? For gardening, there's not. So the second thing we're going to look at is we want to remove any books that are not related to gardening in this case. So we'll go through them all. Wikipedia of magical. What is that? Magical herbs, I'm guessing. Yep. So that's still gardening related. Okay, this one sounds like it could be. So this is a fiction book. So we can ignore that. So I'm just going to put an X here to remove that from our tally. Wicca is not related, so we're going to put an X there. And you see it adjusts the sales rank, not by a ton because this is a really profitable one. Cool. Okay, great. So this passed our first test because it has an average sales rank of 65,000, and we want an average sales rank of less than 200. So it passes our first test. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our topic tracker. We're going to take the keyword gardening, okay, and we're going to go to this tab, the profit analyzer. We're going to type in gardening, okay, and we're going to put down the BSR, I believe, was 64,000. Okay, so this is going to give it a slight score. And we're going to keep filling out each of these based on what I'm going to show you in a second here to get us our final score. And this is how we're going to determine what keywords or topics you want to go ahead and publish with. So let's go to the second test. And that test is how many books are under 50,000 BSR, right? So books under 50,000 BSR are selling at least 5 copies a day. So that's super solid. 4 or more books with a BSR of less than 50,000 on the first page is a tremendous sign that there is really good money being made. It's a high demand niche, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So go back to Amazon here, start up Kindle Spy again. And what we're going to do is we're just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 books. So we go to our topic tracker and we just type in 6, and it bumps it up a little bit more. So now we're starting to move to competition. Okay. So competition. Now, back in the old day, competition used to be based solely off how many reviews a book had. If a review had X number of books, or if a book had X number of reviews, you would say, it's too much competition. That doesn't really hold true in how we publish today, because you can compete with books that already have hundreds of reviews by coming at them at a different angle, by connecting with the customer better, by having better titles, better descriptions, a better cover. So there's two things that we really take a look at and we focus on when it comes into competition. And these are honestly the only two things that matter. Are there authority figures already selling in that niche? And how many books have over 500 reviews? This is only for the first page. So authority figures, let's first take a look at those. So authority figures are people in your niche who have a large following off Amazon, such as celebrities, YouTube personalities, or a specialist in the field. Okay. So these are people like in the money niche, it would be like Robert Kiyosaki or Dave Ramsey. They are celebrity status people. They have massive, massive followings. You're not able to compete with those type of people at all. In the self-help space, like somebody like, S.J. Scott, for example, he's not a celebrity by any means. He's your average Joe, but he dominates the habit market. And you're not going to be able to compete with his books because he's carved out such a large area in his particular niche. Yet, with these people, you can still leverage their authority and just grab a couple of their customers that would normally maybe go to them, but they can find your books instead. So we're not competing directly with them. We're going to be competing indirectly. And so these are the things to look out for. Ideally, we do not want more than one authority figure on the first page. And like I said, competing with them indirectly is completely different than going head to head and coming out with the same book on, Dave Ramsey has the Total Money Makeover, Debt is Bad, or whatever the book is. You coming out with Debt is Bad, it's your money makeover time. There's no way you're going to compete with him. But coming out with a book about getting rid of debt is totally okay if you're coming from it from a different point of view or from a different angle than what Dave Ramsey is. So let's take a look at our example here on Amazon. So I am not anybody with gardening, but the way I'm going to do this, because I don't know a ton of anyone who's in the gardening space who would be a big name or anything like that. I'm going to go off reviews. And we could also like open up some of the books and take a look. Like third edition, like who's this guy? Coming out with book third edition. Right? If he's coming out with this third edition, he's probably somebody important in this space. Textbook. Looks like he's selling FBA. It's weird. It's very strange. Right? Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. So what's this guy's name? Mel? Yeah, Mel seems to be quite the figurehead here. All right, we're gonna look him up a little bit. Okay. But based on this book, it has over 2,000 reviews. Let's see when it was published. 2018, so not even that long ago. Just a couple years ago. So here's how I'm going to rule this. Okay. I'm going to say if they got over 2,000 reviews, a really, really good chance they're an authority figure. We could even probably go at 1,000 in this case. But like if we look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 books with over 2,000 reviews. If that's not telling you that this is going to be an extremely competitive topic to go on, gardening, I don't know what is. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to put that in for authority figures. We're going to have 10. Okay. Okay, so the final test is we want to take a look at books that have less than 500 reviews. Books that have less than 500 reviews are books that we can compete with over time. If the books have more than 500 reviews, chances are they're 30 figures or they're just really well established, and it's going to be really hard to compete with that level of that head start, so to speak. But books with under 500 are easy targets to quote unquote steal sales from, especially when you have a better cover, title, and you're speaking directly to the reader who's looking for your book. So let's go back to our Amazon page and take a look at. Now, I think there's not one single book that has less than 500 reviews. So that's 20 books, right? 18 that matter, because we're not counting those two. So that's 18. So we're going to put 18 here because they have 500, right? And so that bumps it up to 70. This number, we want 90 or higher. So right now, gardening is not looking too hot. Not because there's not a lot of demand. There's a ton of demand, but gardening on its own is just too competitive. Okay? So now we're going to go back to our tracker and let's look at raised bed gardening. Okay, so once again, first thing we're going to do, eliminate the outliers. So I have one book here over 1 million. We're just going to eliminate that. Okay. Now next, we're going to remove any books that are not competing, that are not to do with the type of gardening we're doing. Let's take a look at this. Raised bed gardening. It stays. Wanted this to work, but got to go with the numbers. Okay, let's see this one. Okay, so we can remove this. But that's not going to change it a lot. Okay, so let's take a look. Profit analyzer. Okay, raised bed gardening. Okay, so the average sales rank 324. How many books are under 50,000? 1, 2, 3, just 3. 500 reviews. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Way better than the other one. Authority figures. I'm just going to put 4. So we got over 2,000 reviews on those ones. All right, so not looking too hot there. So let's go to the next keyword. I'm going to skip marijuana just because you can't run ads, so it's kind of pointless, and take a look at that. Let's go to actually square foot gardening. So first thing, remove the outliers. Now we got a couple books over $1 million here, right? So yeah, that's probably a self-published book. So that has to stay. There's one over 2 million. So we'll remove that one. Didn't really do much. Hydroponics. We can remove that because that's a different type of gardening we're not focusing on. Now let's go ahead and remove the books that have nothing to do with our topic. Okay, remove that one. I want to take a look at those persons. So another, okay. Look, so here's another thing. And remember when we talked about, this is actually really good. Remember when we talked about at the beginning of this, the disclaimer, right? How this is not a definitive science. Okay. So what this person, clearly it's a self-publisher. They only have the one book on that and they're not doing anything with it. So I'm not gonna let that book skew the results here, because it's just a one-off. I looked into it. It's not doing anything. So we're gonna remove it. It's not gonna make a big enough difference, unfortunately, here. But so you have to look at those books that are standing out like that in a negative way, to say, is it a legit book that somebody's tried and it's just the niche is not that profitable, or is it just a crappy book on that topic? So that's why it's not a definitive science. Okay, so 353. I'm going to put this into the 353. How many? So 1, 2, only 2 that are under 50,000. So how many books have more than 500 reviews? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay. So this is not going to be good. Okay, let's keep going with gardening. Container gardening. Or gardening basics. Because we know gardening, so based on what we've been doing, we know gardening is a very profitable keyword, right? We know that because we've done the analysis, and the average BSR on the first page for gardening is 64,000. It's just extremely competitive. So we can find a way to get a piece of gardening without having to compete directly with just that one word. It could work. So what is this? Gardening basics. Looking for books that have nothing to do with what we want. Okay, let's remove bonsai, because that's a specific type of gardening. It's actually, that could be something to look into. Add it to our tracker, bonsai. And I'm thinking maybe even gardening with kids, something like that we could check. Let me add that to our tracker right now. Bonsai and kids. The Green Witch. Okay, so the Green Witch, we're going to bonsai. Once again, we're going to remove that. Okay. Square foot gardening. And let's say if we're not competing with kids, I don't want that in here. If we're not going to come out with a book for kids. Okay, so 261. 261. 50,000 tests. 1, 2, 3. Not exciting. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. And authority figures. This is not looking good anyways. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, that one got 4. Okay, so let's shift topics and let's go to weight training and see what we can get from this on Amazon. Okay, so to the Kindle store, weight training. Okay, so let's see what comes up here. Okay, so first let's take a look, remove any outliers. Don't really see anything. Next, remove any books that have nothing to do with the topic. So right now I'd be filtering out anything that's not really to do with working out. Not weight training, like we have functional training, which is not really weight training, but I'm just going to leave it in there. Okay, so I'll leave everything in. Okay, so the average sales rank for this is 141. So let's go ahead and put that weight training, put that in here, so 141. Okay, BSR is under 50,000. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4. And remember, we want a final score of anything above 80. It's something we can give some serious thought to. Now, how many books have more than 500 reviews? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4. And then the last one is authority figures. I think it's just this one. All right, let's take a look who that is anyways. Okay, so that's 1. That might actually be a textbook. Maybe not. Okay. All right. So really just one authority figure and just other, authors who have been doing well in terms of gathering reviews. So 1. Awesome. Okay, so look at that. So that brings it up to 95. So then what we're going to do is you can go to your top 10 topics tab, and then it's actually going to pre-order everything in terms of the score that you have here. So weight training, it's going to be number 1. So this is what we want to focus the book about. Now, the decision I'm going to make is I'm going to take a look and do I want to do just a general weight training book, or do I want to do something that's going to be a bit more specific, like weight training for women, weight training for men over 40, there's strength training. So those are the decisions that I'm going to make as I do more research into this niche to determine what type of book I'm going to want created.